Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Space Live. I am your host, the Lamar Finley. Listen, before I begin anything, before the show even begins, I need y'all to do me a favor. Do me a favor. Don't be stingy. It's going to be some good conversation, some good content. Do me a favor. Subscribe to our channel and share. Don't be stingily. Because as my nephew used to tell me, when you are stingily to people, they'll be stingily to you. So share this information. It's going to be good. It's going to be some good time, y'all. Any event, tonight's topic is, are modern women self-destructive? Self-destructive. I can go on probably a whole 4-hour sermon about whether or not they are or aren't, but I'm not here to have this conversation by myself. Joining me tonight is 3 beautiful ladies. I'm going to introduce them without further ado. Kashima, welcome to Black Place Live.
Thank you. Happy to be here. This is my second time. I was here back in July and excited to be here again.
All right. Doc Locks, my girl Doc Locks, welcome back. She needs that introduction. And Leah, your first time guest, right?
Yes, absolutely. First time.
All right, well, welcome to Black Place Live. Anything you want to know the audience to know about yourself?
No, just happy to be here. Looking forward to a great conversation.
Leah said, I'm a woman of few words. Thank you. So, I mean, let's get right into it. So the topic of tonight's discussion is, are modern women self-destructive, right? Before we get into that, I want to ask the question, what, in your ladies' opinion, is a modern woman? What's a modern woman? Leah, you're the newer. We're gonna throw you right into the fire. What's a modern woman?
I'm gonna say, according to one of those little rappers, was a Cardi. I don't cook, I don't clean, or something. I don't know. I'm kind of traditional, so I try to cook, I try to clean. I don't think the women of today. I'm not gonna say they don't do it. I'm just gonna say it's not on their like top list of priorities. You know, I want to say the modern woman has to work. If they're not in a situation to stay home, and the truth be told, a lot of women, even if they had the position to stay home, I don't know if they would do it. Ladies, what do you think?
Doc Locke,
I agree with you.
I had this conversation. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kashima. Dyslexic.
You can go ahead.
So I had this.
I was just gonna say, yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Go ahead.
I just think of like a modern woman, like one who carries herself well and, you know, does the same traits as the whole traditional versus modern. I mean, I think it's just pretty much all the same, to be honest.
So you think modern women and traditional women are the same?
Yeah,
Kashima.
Pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Doc. Yeah, we can hear you.
I was having this conversation unintentionally with a friend of mine who has bought hook, line, and sinker into Kevin Samuel's doctrine. So we were talking about modern versus traditional, and I said, what's the difference? And he couldn't tell me. But I said, if you really talk to women today, a lot of us are modern because we have to be, because our husbands or our life partners, or we have been thrust into a situation where we have to work. And just because we're working doesn't mean we're not traditional. It just means that we are working, right? And if we were to look at traditional marriages, like my parents are very traditional in that.
Oh, it's getting good. She got. We're having technical difficulties. Doc.
Okay, but is it mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Doc,
sorry.
You froze for a second.
Okay, but my
you were saying your parents. Go ahead.
Have one checking account and one savings account, and when they get paid, the money goes into those accounts, and that's it, right? So that's traditional. Now, because the modern family has other children and other people to take care of, sometimes they have to create different pathways. but does that make them non-traditional? Right? So I don't understand how people get labeled one or the other when a lot of us are just traditional women who have been forced into the workplace.
So so my quick take on this, I don't think that traditional means that you don't work. I think that a lot of, because I mean, I'm thinking about like so I'm not going to go with my parents, I'm with my grandparents. I'm thinking about my grandparents. One stayed. My mom's mom was a stay-home mom. My dad's mom worked. But she was still very traditional with respect. And when I say here traditional, I think about the traditional, hierarchy. So, the buck stops with the guy, the mom, he does the traditional, yeah, gender. It's traditional with respect to gender roles, right? He does all the quote unquote masculine tasks, taking out the trash, security, mowing the lawn, fixing things around the house. While she, and he was a primary income earner, meaning, he earned at least, 6. He paid at least 6% of the house's, took care of 6 of the house's finances. Whereas she cooked, she could cook. She was a homemaker with respect to, she took care of the home, the inside home. And so that's what I look at as traditional, not necessarily from the standpoint of working, because a lot of grandparents both work, both black folks and black people and white people. When I think of modern, I think of this idea of they have no domestic skills. Not only do they is career like the primary focus, I think family is secondary, and they think of this idea of this equal partnership where there's no quote unquote head of the house. They're kind of, it's more of a we're equal. That's when I think of modern. I don't want to submit. I don't want to be less than. I'm equal. We're equal. And so, and lacking the domestic skills. That's what I think about when I think about modern. What do you ladies think about how I feel? And I totally agree with the whole financial piece of having one of everything, one checking account, one savings account. I think modern women, we're separate. We'll pay the bills together, but we're separate. I got mine, you got yours, and that's how that works. Thoughts, ladies?
So I think, has anybody on here married or been married? Okay. So when I was married, we had to do it in a different way because of how things had to go out of the house, right? But
Boy, you're breaking up again, Doc.
I can't help that. I told you my whole life
I know.
Right now. But just because the man is the breadwinner and the decision maker, that does not mean I am less than. And I think that's the concept that has been taken too far. So when we say equal partnership, it's like we want to be treated well. We don't want to be treated like children. And too many men treated their wives like children when they were the decision maker.
I disagree with the idea of, and when I say less than, I'm just using the lingo, right? I don't think traditional men thought of their wives as less than, right?
They
but
did.
a lot in our community, we ascribe to the Christian doctrine, right? And the Christian doctrine says the wife is the lesser vessel. But I don't think that is respect that she's like less than me. He was, if a man's going to lay his life down, I don't think that he thinks that his wife is less than. If he thought his wife was less than, I'm not going to do anything to you. So I think that, I think that's where that whole idea came from. And I also think that we tend to focus on the negatives in the more traditional marriages, and we never hear about the positives. I often share the story about when I was working in DC and taking the honor flights, and I hear about a lot of these men that, these are World War II veterans, a lot of Korean War veterans that talked about how, well, first of all, they met their wives a week before getting married, and they were married for 60 years. And then their wives would talk about how happy they were and how they would do it all over again if they could. We never hear those stories. We only hear the negatives, right? If it bleeds, it leads. We only hear about the negatives. So I don't necessarily think that those men thought that their wives are less than. But I think that's a perception of a lot of, modern women with respect to marriage. They don't want to be less than. Leah, thoughts?
So I am married. We will be married 8 years this year. We've been together over 10. We actually moved pretty quickly. We met and moved in together very quickly. We haven't killed each
What's
other
very
yet.
quickly, if you don't mind?
Within a month. Within a month, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't killed each other yet. So in regards to what you were saying about people meeting each other within a week, I mean, relationships are either going to work or they're not going to work. I think a lot of people focus on how long they know each other. People only going to show you whatever crazy they want to show you. It doesn't matter if it's within a week or it might take 10 years to realize you're with somebody who's crazy. So, I mean, the older I get, the more I'm like, you know what? Some cultures have it when they say arranged marriages. You know, it's funny. The older I get, I'm like, wow, arranged marriages might be the way to go. I feel like this day and age, we just date and date and date so much. It's, and then you start nitpicking the people that person did that and that person did that, that sort of thing. What I can't Lucy, it's Lucy.
Uh-huh.
What Lucy was saying about
Doc Locks. That's Doc Locks.
Doc Locks, sorry. Okay. So what you were saying about the checking account situation, that's interesting because my husband and I do not have, we have a joint checking account, but we really don't use that one. We primarily use like separate checking accounts. And I've said stuff to him, but I mean, it's weird. We don't have like a joint checking account. It works, I guess. Like if I need, if I say, hey, and we don't really have like a 50-50 split. It's kind of like he pays certain things and I pay certain things. And then I'm just kind of like, of course, if I'm short of something, I'm like, hey, babe, you're going to have to send me a couple hundred to pay this type of thing. And he'll just kind of Zelle it to my account. I don't know why he showed me Zelle because now I'm like, hey, I'm at the grocery store. Hey, I'm here. So, but we don't have, because I'll literally be like, hey, I'm at Taco Night. I need $20 type of thing. But I don't know. It works, Every once in a while, I'm like, why don't we have a joint account? But hey, it works for us. The domesticated thing you were saying is interesting because I actually work with a coworker, and I had told her that I was taking a sewing class, and she called me like a granny or something, and I was like, what? Like, I don't understand what that means. So like the domesticated piece, I don't think we really, like, I know my mom really didn't teach me how to cook. And so with my daughter and my boys, like, I'm just trying to make sure that I teach them, even my boys, I just want them to know how to cook I call it some meals. I'm just going to say some basic meals. You don't have to be a chef, but everybody should know how to cook, especially women and especially men, because you got to cook for yourself, food's high. Right. But I definitely think that we're more traditional here. My husband doesn't cut the grass only because he pays somebody to do it. I know I'm not getting behind anybody's lawnmower. But I will, but I also have sons and, they wash dishes. So they help me some. But I don't know. I definitely feel like we definitely have like the gender roles in this house. But I know everybody's household runs differently. That works for us.
Yeah. When I was married, we had gender roles too. But I have a son and I'm raising him to cook. He knows how to sew on buttons. And so during Thanksgiving and Christmas, I do a lot of baking. So he's learning how to do that as well, because I don't know if he'll get married, but he still needs to know how to eat, right?
Exactly.
And be self-sufficient. So, yeah. But I don't think women have taken the time to teach women how to be women or feminine,
You're right.
And I think sometimes because a lot of them were in single parent homes, or they get mired in the struggle or on the day to day. So we think those things are just osmosis. Oh, he'll learn how to do this, he'll figure it out. And a lot of times they don't.
I totally agree with that. Totally.
That's true.
My mom often will say, well, I didn't have time to teach Leah to cook, or we didn't have money like that. I didn't have money for her to mess up something in the kitchen. So as a result, I didn't learn. Like, I can tell you, like, I literally can tell you the meals that she prepared, and I might have stood there and watched her prepare them. But as far as her saying, hey, let me show you how to do this, no. I remember being 23, 22, 21 years old and calling my grandmother and saying, hey, how do you make this? And her trying to tell me over the phone. So it's like, I definitely agree with you. I think we get so tied up in our day to day that we always think we'll have later, and then that later never comes. And then we're kind of thrown into adulthood, and it's like, well, wait a minute, like certain things I knew how to cook when I got with my husband, certain things he knew how to do. So, he showed me how to do a cheese sauce for mac and cheese. So his mother definitely taught him. He can clean, he can do all of that, We just have different work schedules. So it makes more sense for me to But I can definitely tell you, if we're having that cookout and y'all are coming over, I'm like, babe, we gotta get this together. And but I definitely think, time runs out on you sometimes. And then it's like certain things you just don't get. And you just,
Yeah,
So
I will
Lee,
say.
go ahead, Stephen, go
I
ahead.
will say, like, I will say that my mom didn't teach me how to cook. My dad actually did. She was like growing up, she did live in a single household, just a mother, and she was a tomboy, so she wasn't into like the baking and all that stuff. So my dad taught me how to do all of that and my other siblings. But as far as traditional roles, I mean, I think they're kind of untraditional. Like I'm not married or anything, never been yet. But watching them, they do have a joint like credit card account. They pay the bills. My dad takes care of the cooking. He's retired now, so my mom's working and stuff like that. So it's kind of non-traditional around here, but they make it work. So do whatever works for you and your household.
Exactly.
So Leah, you mentioned earlier, this is going to be a perfect, well, kind of a segue to my next question. You talked about arranged marriages, right? And we know this. We know that pretty much. I'd say about 80% of the globe still practices arranged marriages, and that seems to work for pretty much 80% of the globe. They don't have a lot of the. I mean, outside of poverty, and that's geopolitical, they don't have a lot of the problems that we have in the richest, at least one of the richest nations in the world, right? So they have a lot of arranged marriages. So there's this thing out there, and when I say arranged marriages, we're just to be clear, we're talking about. Excuse me, I'm kind of losing my voice here. Oh my goodness, we're talking about you have a young man who might be, I don't know, maybe 20, 23, 24, 25, who has a job, right? And he has been vetted out by a family of a young lady who might be, 19, 20, 21, right? And so they literally are going to match them together for the purposes of producing a family. He's been well vetted. He comes from a good family that matches the religious and values of this family. They put them together, right? And as a result, typically, these two will either have little to no sexual experience. In many cases, you'll have either a virgin girl or a guy that's only been maybe one girl, if any, right? So there's this thing called body count, right? And modern women and body count has been it's a very heated conversation. Some women say it doesn't matter. Some women say it does. What say you? Kashima, I'm gonna start with you. Do you think body count matters? Yeah, why or why not? With
No, I
respect to
mean
women.
just get tested. That's all I say. Like you just go to the doctor. Honestly, I don't care. I don't see how men can do whatever they want and it's okay. But then when women do it, we're every name in the book. Just go get tested. That's all.
Well,
At the end of the
we
day.
don't value, but relationships are not symmetrical, right? What
Yeah.
you would value, what a woman would value in a relationship, right? I'm not going to value the same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't seek out women for the same reason women seek out me. And so, with respect to sex, it's not the same. And I've tried to explain this. If a man wants to have sex, right? A man just can't go out and get sex. He has to offer some value to that woman in order to get sex, because women control access to sex, right? So
Yeah.
I either have to be charming enough, right? Have game, or we call it swag, or I
Mm-hmm.
have to have resources, whether I can draw women in with my resources or pay for it, or I gotta look good, right? One of those things is gonna have to attract women to me in order for her to give me sex, right? Women can get sex just by offering it, and pretty much any man will bite, right? They
That's
don't.
true.
You don't have to necessarily have value to offer sex. Doc, you don't look like you agree with that idea. You beg
Because
to
I
differ.
don't.
Okay, I'm
You know
listening.
what? So, like, some people that I know have always said to me, "You're single because you want to be single. And if you got all these male friends, if you call 5 male friends and be like, you know what, I'm ready."
She always gets some good conversations going, and then boom, interference happens.
Not one of them was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm coming over." All of them were like, "Are you okay? Is this really you?" Yeah. Nobody even like called me back or was like, "Okay, were you really serious?" So I think women have to be engaging and inviting and all of those things as well.
So you said these are your friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know you, right? And they know you, and I think that I don't necessarily think that relationship they would just kind of jump on it. But I would bet if you were to go out to a bar or a restaurant and meet a person organically,
still dry, extra dry.
So you went out to a restaurant. So wait.
Leah's face is like, what?
Because I'm looking like that. Because first off, my facial expressions. Let me put some sunglasses and a mask on. Because you are an attractive woman. So maybe because your friends know that you're playing or something. And as far as you going out to the bar, stop it. Because you're
okay. Let me tell you about my little janky life right now. I'm in the Midwest. I'm not from the Midwest. I don't know anybody here. And on 4 nights, I went out to a bar. And the first night, the bartender was like, "Oh my God, you look so sad." But I thought I was looking cute. Ain't nobody talked to me but like this 80-year-old white dude. And all he talked to me about was finding a house. He didn't even know.
What did you wear?
Where did you go?
What did you wear?
Lord.
Right. That you were looking
I
sad.
had on some cuteness, honey.
You have it like little low
Where did you go though?
Was it low cut? Little nice bra?
Girl, I'm telling you.
There is no way. Stop it. If that's the case, just go on Plenty of Fish or something. That's a little stuff.
Right.
Plenty of Fish, the worst.
I don't know. I'm confused because you're an attractive woman. Anybody would bite. Now your friends, they probably think you're playing.
They definitely thought
people in
in real life. You know how many dudes?
One friend like a week later called back and was like, "Damn, did I miss my chance?"
I told you because he thought you were.
But we laughed so hard. I was like, "It took you this long to call me back?"
Because he thought you were playing.
Dude. Yeah. So
he thought you were playing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, he thought you were playing. Women can get sex if they want sex. Sex is not hard for women to get.
Okay.
Men have to work to get sex. Even attractive men and successful men have to work to get sex. It's not thrown. It's not given to
I
men.
don't agree with that.
Real attractive.
Leah, do you
sit beside me right
I
now?
feel like, thank you. I'm with her. I feel like if a man is attractive enough and he can talk well enough, he can talk somebody's drawers off. I'm just saying.
Listen.
Now maybe
listen what I said.
It might be an older woman. It might be a 20, 25-year-old woman. Because all of these young girls running around having hot girl summers up in here. So I don't know. You talking about the traditional? No, the woman is having hot girl summers.
No, I agree with that.
Doing what they want to do, and I agree with
the
young lady. I can't see any. I need my reading glass. I'm old, y'all. Chima. I mean, it's a double standard. Men are always allowed to do whatever they want, and then here goes women. We're supposed to, I don't know, be nullified or something. I'm not sure.
But and here's what I don't understand. If men are having sex with all these women, eventually I'm gonna be one of all of those women. Right?
Where are you at? What state are you in?
Doc,
when we go to the green room.
Doc is Kevin. Doc is Kevin. Doc can get listen. If Doc wants something, Doc can get something.
Because she is very attractive. I don't both of you.
If Doc wants something, Doc can get something.
Where are you at? What state are you in?
I'm gonna tell you when we get off.
You might have somebody you're watching you in that state.
Hey, Leah, after the show, people are gonna be like, they're trying to Google Doc Locks in the Midwest.
Exactly.
Trying to figure out where she at. They're gonna be dropped alone.
She gonna have it lined up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the days of the week.
So pulling it back in.
Right, I'm sorry.
That's the reason that I was saying. So Leah, you were saying, yes, I'm not saying attractive men can't get sex. I'm saying that even an attractive guy has to put some work in to get sex, whereas a woman just needs to offer it. That's why there's a difference. And from a biological standpoint, right? From an evolutionary standpoint, back in the day, if a woman were quote unquote moving around, you couldn't guarantee paternity. If I married this woman that moved around, you couldn't guarantee paternity. So that's at least from a scientific and evolutionary standpoint, one of the reasons why men value, the closer to purity you can get, whereas a man that is able to get women is higher value because that man brings value. You would agree that a man that can get sex either has game, resources, or looks. Would you agree? Would y'all agree?
I will.
I disagree with that?
I'll agree.
Okay, so that's why it's it's not viewed as the same, and that's why this whole high body count. And there's other things. So and there's studies that have shown, and this is with women, that the more sexual partners you have, the harder it is to pair bond with your partner because you have a lot to compare them to, right? You've had more partners. Let me be clear when I say this. These women, it's hard for them to be sexually satisfied in the marriage because her husband has a lot to be compared to. There's a lot of competition for that guy.
Not if he good in bed.
I'm with you. I mean,
right.
if you're already test driving vehicles, then you're not gonna, more than likely. I mean, I'm saying there are some people who will abstain with their partner. I actually know somebody do that, but more than likely you're gonna test drive your partner, so you would know. Most women are not going to marry a man that's bad in bed, unless you can teach them, possibly. But
you're proving my point. Y'all proving my point. Y'all want the men to be experienced.
Not,
right?
I mean, you don't
necessarily want y'all to be experienced.
If you have something if they have something that you can work with, then more than likely they can be taught. If you're open to teaching, but these ladies said they're not open to teaching, and I get it because at a certain age you should know what you're doing.
Exactly.
And
I don't want you to know too much.
But but back to that arranged marriage, then it doesn't matter because your partner has no experience just like you. But the men and the women of the world normally have experience. So they're not gonna be inexperienced like a 20-year-old.
And I feel like it's very immature. And this is not an attack on anybody or anything, to rank or think a certain way about a woman because of how many people she's been with. Because I want to know what's the difference between me being in a relationship with a man for 6 months or even a year, and we have sex every day that we're together, or me randomly picking.
She always dropping gems, and then it goes to freeze.
I've only had sex 50 times, but with that person, I had sex 360 times.
I'll tell you the difference. One. I mean, let's be vulgar here. One, you could have had sex with Shaq, Mandingo, Pee Wee, John, Charles. You know what I'm saying? Versus if it's just with the one person, I only have to compete with that one. Speaking from male point of view, with that one person, and if I'm with you out in public, if it's just that one person for 6 months versus 50 people in 6 months, there's less of a chance of me running out in public with my woman and running into one of the guys that you've had sex with.
Why do you care?
Because that's how men are.
No, it's not. That's how. I don't think that's how men in general are, because and what I don't understand about this piece of the conversation is be at the mall, she'll be at the hair salon, she'll be here, she'll be there, and it could be 3 or 4 of them. And we're supposed to be like, oh, hi, girl. But a man falls apart just because he saw one other person who saw me naked or not.
That's how men are.
I don't want to date that man.
Me either.
That's how men
and we
are.
Definitely not married.
And I'm not married to that type of man.
Right.
That's how most men are.
I mean, here's the thing, and then y'all get mad when women don't give y'all like a truthful number. I mean, like, stop. Every woman is going to say 5 or 7. Every woman.
Right. We're not dumb to believe that. We're not dumb to believe that number. But I don't ask that number. I don't ask that number.
Stop it.
Yeah, men aren't dumb enough to believe that number, and most men aren't necessarily gonna. I don't know if men are even asked that number. I could be wrong. I don't know. Have y'all been asked that number? What your number are?
Yeah.
You've been asked?
I would say a couple times. My husband never asked.
Insecure dude.
Yes, and I would agree with that. Insecure.
Just to keep it up, because I don't, Leah. Just to keep the examples, I don't want to bring your marriage into, because I don't want to ever throw any shade or anything or expose anything you're married. So I want to try to kind of keep it general. I'm going to keep it general. I don't want to put your husband on the spot. He's not here to defend himself and whatever. Take a shot at your family and your marriage. I want y'all to be successful and amazing. But I mean, that's how men are. So on the inverse, right? We talk about body count, right? But women choose men based on height, right? We don't consider that to be, and men can't control that, right? We choose men based on a lot of things, weight, right? But height's a big one. No man can control his height. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest.
That's true.
Sorry.
I'm just saying the size of old Johnson, that matters, right? Old Johnson, right?
Well, we can control the size of our vaginas. Right.
But we can't control old Johnson or our height.
Yeah, y'all can't.
Right. But women will they'll insult and choose based on that. But men can't have a body count requirement.
They can have.
Not symmetrical. You said what?
Yeah, y'all can have whatever y'all want. Don't mean we have to. We don't have to follow it. We just ain't the one for you.
Listen, I agree. I agree I agree on the inverse as well. So let's move on to the next question. So social media is big, right? There's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of not just influencers. There's a lot of people in entertainment that have a huge impact and influence on women. And actually, I find it to be ironic. Like, so your Cardi B's of the world are saying, I don't cook, I don't plan to do none of this stuff, but yet I got the man. And there's your Beyonce's who are singing, all the single ladies, and she's married to Jay-Z, for heaven's sake. A lot of these influences, people on social media have a huge influence on the way modern women behave. Do you think, what's your opinion of that? Because I think it's ironic that some of the biggest, quote unquote, pushers of the city girl culture, the modern woman culture, are happily married to men. What are your thoughts? Doc, I'm gonna start with you this time.
Okay. So I think when they were singing Single Ladies, was Beyonce married? I'm not a fan, so I don't follow her that closely.
She's married.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's married.
So I think that song is like an homage to single women, because there's a lot of pressure for women to get married, right? And women are treated differently based on their status. So if they are single, then some circles are not going to allow them to be friends or to get into certain groups and clubs. So I think she was just kind of shouting that out to say, hey, you still fly and groovy even though you're single. It shouldn't matter. But I think our parents, good, bad, or indifferent, should be our influencers, not the city girls. Because I remember being a kid and my dad was like, we watch TV and we listen to music, but we live our lives. All right. We don't live what we see. We don't live what we hear. And I think that's key in raising children, to understand that. So if a grown woman wants to model herself after the city girls, go ahead, girl. It's a certain type of person that she's going to attract, and a certain type of behavior pattern that she will also attract.
But the best filter to the negative outside influences, right, is a strong home with some strong parents, right? And so our community specifically
a strong parent. It doesn't have to be two.
Well, I disagree with that, but I think that two strong parents are much better than one. But we'll agree to disagree on that. But
because you really insulted me. So you telling me I'm not a strong parent because I don't have.
I said two strong parents are better than one.
Okay.
That's what I said. And stats show that two parents are better than one. It's worked forever, right? I'm not saying one parent doesn't always work. I'm saying two parents are better than one.
Okay.
That's what the
So
test
if
says.
my husband is a crackhead, it's better for me to stay with my crackhead.
But he wouldn't be a strong parent, though, would
my
he?
crackhead because I have two strong parents. One
so
just happens to be a crackhead.
You would say a crackhead is a strong parent.
They can be.
No, they can't be.
Yes, they can. I've seen it done.
No, they cannot.
Yes.
Right. That's the exception, not the rule. Someone that's addicted to crack is not a strong person in any area of his life. They're addicted to crack.
So I think the exception is okay. Go ahead. I understand now why a lot of men are single if they think like you. But go ahead.
Dang.
Single. I choose to be single.
Look, it was a report earlier this week or last week that went out that said men are the loneliest that they have ever been. Right?
I saw that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, we taking back our power. Yeah, women are sick of y'all's BS, and we taking back our power.
There is no power to take back. Let's talk about that article, right? So it says 67% of men are single. They posted a few studies in there. A lot of the data was gathered from dating apps because the dating market has shifted, right? It's a lot more online dating, right? Swipe right, swipe left, and there's more men on dating apps than are women. And that market favors women, right? And so what it's created if the man doesn't have the quote unquote look on the apps, right? If he's not a handsome guy, he can be a guy with resources and maybe game, but if he can't pass the looks test, he's automatically eliminated. And so that has put average men, made them invisible. There's a study that says that men under 30, 1 out of 3 of them are either virgins or haven't had sex in the last year, right? That's what that says, right? But what that has created, women already outnumber men because I often hear this study and women talk about, oh, we're not doing men's BS. That's fine. You've upped your requirements. But what you've done is the men that can move in those spaces have more options. They have more options. The men that have resources, swag, game, and looks can move in those spaces better. He has more options. What are y'all thoughts about that?
Bullshit, but carry on.
I mean, it's the truth. Kashima?
I mean, who wants an ugly partner? To be honest. So yeah, I don't care how well together you are. If you're funny looking, no, I'm not gonna look your way, to be honest. But yeah, to each his own.
Leah?
I think that how do I phrase this nicely? I did watch some of Kevin Samuel's stuff. Initially I was a little pissed, but then I started listening a little more. And some of the stuff that he said makes sense. Like, you know, for me, for instance, I'm over 40. I have 3 kids. If something happens to my husband, I would have to go up 20 years because I got all these kids. Like, you know, at 40 plus, I might not get a man that's 6'5" and extremely good looking and makes a lot of money. I'm going to have to come down on those standards a little bit. The man that you're going to get at 20 years old is not the same man you're going to get at 40 years old. It's not even the same man you're going to get at 30 years old. So, I mean, I'm not saying he got to be ugly, but he might not be that 8 or 9 that you used to. You might have to get a 5 or a 6 and make sure he got a fresh haircut. You know, dress him a little nice, something like that. I'm just saying. That's me.
Doc, you disagree?
Now, I'm saying what I won't do. I have friends, male friends, who have definite and definitive standards for their female partners. And because they are 40 and older, they haven't changed what they like or what they want. So that's why I won't change it either, because I think there are definitely some men in my age bracket who make the kind of money that I want my partner to make and who are willing to, who have the height that I want. And there may not. So, you know.
So let me ask a question. Would you agree that man is also wanted by a lot of other women?
But they ain't me, so sure.
But you get my point. right? So and not only in your age bracket is he going to attract, he's going to attract in, I don't know how old you are, Doc. I'm not gonna take a guess here. But if you're in a woman in her 20s, you're also competing with women in their 20s.
So right? Let's change the vernacular here, because I don't compete. Either if we meet and we like each other, then we like each other, and I'm not competing. And I think when we start saying that women are competing for the man, that puts a very different connotation on it. Okay, all I'm supposed to do when I have his attention is to keep his attention and make him happy. That's it. That's not a competition.
But
better preach, girl.
I agree to that point.
Anything to outdo anybody else. All I can do is show up as myself, have good conversation, show a good time, and say goodbye. That's it. Now, if he wants to put it into a competitive place, he's not going to win. Because we're at an age now, and I don't know how old anybody is on here, but if I meet a 40 to 50-year-old man who was like, yo, you got to compete with me, as a matter of fact,
no man's going to say that.
Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, I did, because his words were, if you want this, you got to work for it. Other people are. Well, let them have it, baby. Let them have it. Because I'm not going to face you. I'm not getting ready to do all these things. No, sir. So you go have fun with all those other women, and, hit me up in a month and tell me how many are still there. Amen. Amen.
Amen, girl.
Good.
Well, I don't know that most guys are going to be that arrogant to say they're competing, but I think that we're all competing, right? So when I wake up in the morning, if I want to date a woman, I put my best foot forward. That is a competition. I am putting my best foot forward and presenting the best version of myself to attract the kind of woman that I want. I don't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, take me as I am. I have to put my best foot forward in order to get the outcomes that I want, right? That is a competition. We're both in competition. But I'm saying that a woman, when she's younger and youthful, has more cards for which to compete with versus a guy that has those three things: game, and resources, height. Actually, I'm going to throw height in there. But actually, that goes in looks. Game, resources, and looks. He has more cards for which to compete with. And that increases as he gets older, because maybe the looks are, if the looks are maintained, his resources and game get better. And so that just makes him a better competitor. But we're all competing. Lee, what are your thoughts? Actually, no, Kashima, you've been pretty quiet. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, we're all competing, but like Doc said, I'm not about to be in competition with anyone. You say you dating multiple women, cool, do you. Like, I'm not gonna feel like I have to go above and beyond to win your heart, if that makes sense.
But you would agree that you have to put your best foot forward in order to attract the type of man that you want.
Yeah.
That's competing.
For sure.
But that's the competition.
Yeah, but
I know that we don't like to hear the word I know we don't like to hear the word compete, right? I know we hate that word, right? But that's what it is. It's a competition. We're all out here putting our best foot forward to get the outcomes that we want, right? So let's take it off the dating for a second. If you're trying to get a job, right? You want this job that you want, right? It requires, X, Y, and Z. Are you not in competition for everybody else that wants that same job that you want?
But it is a competition. My man ain't no job.
Yeah.
You said what?
My man ain't no job. So that's why I don't employ the same tactics as I would to get a job. So on the job, and this is another thing I think women don't always navigate well. On the job, I'm cutthroat. Okay. I am a stealth bomber on the job. I don't bring that home. Right?
Man, every time she gets okay.
She keep cutting out.
But she be get the good words going and she cuts out.
Okay. Well, what I said was, at work, I am one way, and at home, I am another. Because at work, I have to do different things. At work, I will cut you. I will fire you. I will put you out. I can't do that and won't do that at home, because there's a different level of respect and a different level of trust and a different level of honor. So when I'm going to get him, I am not. And you know what? My friends and I laugh about this, because if I were in a real city, if I put on some exercise clothes because I work out and go run around the block 18 times. So now I'm sweaty. It'll be a dude that'll walk up to me and be like, hey, baby, I think you fine. And that ain't nothing about me putting my best foot forward. And every woman on here knows that and he'll be serious, and he might have on a suit, and he might be in his best. But he'll be like, yeah, that whole we competing for a man. Nah, it won't be me.
Okay.
Here's what I don't think men understand. So when we talk about, like when you talked about your grandparents, your grandmother could not write a check. Your grandmother could not own a bank account. She couldn't buy a house without a man or get an apartment, right? She couldn't probably even vote for a long time. But in 1971, 72, women got full rights. So this generation is the first generation of women to be born into equality. So we don't need you to get a car, to get a house, to get a job, because we can do all of that on our own. So now what we need a man to do is to show up as a protector, right? To show up as somebody who can be a companion, to show up as someone and who can love. We don't need all of that other stuff. And if we do, then we'll communicate that. They are single.
So I would argue that is not a winning strategy, right? Men need to feel needed and wanted, right? And if a woman tells me that she doesn't need me for anything, then I'll just move on to the one that needs me. And I don't think the argument, and I don't want to get too deep into the argument. Because we have these conversations about the so-called evil patriarchy and the issues that white women had with white men. So therefore, feminism became a thing, and then our women ran with it. There's a lot of disingenuousness in that conversation. I don't want to jump into that on this particular podcast, but I don't think that's a winning strategy with respect to finding the kind and caliber of man that women want. I think that's different. Leah, your thoughts?
Oh my. I agree with what you just said. A man needs to feel wanted. And I tell women a lot that, even if you don't need them, you better pretend that you need them. I don't know if that means flattening your tire and say, hey, can you come help me? I don't know. Men want to feel wanted and needed. So if you just, how do I say it? You can't be two kings in one castle. I don't know we have to be a little softer in our approach, maybe. I don't know.
And you know what? If the guy is for me, I would be softer in the approach. But
yeah, same.
Right. But if he coming like that and he asking a body count, I'm good over here. Women make more lasting connections than men do. So we have connections in our friendships that feel like family, that feel like love. And that's why we are better suited sometimes alone, because we don't miss that. There's no way I would ever tell a man who we have agreed to partner, I would never say to him, I don't need you, because I know what that does to the ego. I would never say I make more money than you do, because I know what that does to the ego. But what I think men need to understand.
Oh, God.
This internet is driving me absolutely insane and bonkers. Every time you get on a good run, your internet freezes.
Yes.
I'll put it in the chat. But men need to understand that women have the power of choice now. And I think that's important.
I don't really agree with that. My brother sent me a message earlier and it says something like about Megan Good. So I guess Megan Good now wants to have children. So he was kind of like, well, why would she feel like that now? She just had a whole husband for 8 years, and he basically said, she has a lot of money. She has a lot of resources, so she can get a male figure to come in. She can pay somebody to come in. He said, but we really shouldn't be like glamorizing, I guess, being a single mom if you don't have to be. So he also made a point, and I kind of had to like think about it all day. He basically said that, there's more women than there are men. So he says, so if women want to be married or want a partnership or want a partner for life, they really need to think about that at a younger age. He said, because they are, people are getting married. And then by the time you look up, everybody that on your caliber might be taken. And another thing is, a lot of men in their 40s, they do not want a 40-year-old woman. I don't know if that's like the best kept secret or something.
They sure don't.
So
why don't they?
You said why don't they? Because why do men get what's the at least in 2022, what's the number one reason men get married? Children.
Yes.
Most men that get married want children. And what comes along with the 40-year-old woman, what comes along with the 40-year-old hold on. What comes along with the 40-year-old woman is first of all, Doc Locks is attractive at I don't know what age you are, Doc. I don't want to say. But Doc Locks 10 years ago was finer than fine Doc Locks today. Doc Locks 15 years ago. Doc Locks 15 years ago.
I tell people.
Yeah.
You said what?
I'm gonna agree with Doc Locks. I think I look better actually now.
I know I did too.
You think men by and large think that older women look better than younger women?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying some women are actually aging backwards.
Right. But that's what y'all see. I'm talking about the buyer, right? That's like me saying, do you think that me when I was 22 making $16 an hour is better than me now that has, retirement accounts, and which one's the better version of me?
So my friend and I had this conversation. He's never been married, and he's like 53, and his exact words were, and excuse the term, bitches like me now because I got a retirement account.
All right, so let me pause. Let me pause for a second. I gotta go to the chat. So a couple comments. Somebody asked. They said, "Locks, how long have you been single?" It's Mama Bear this is the chat. Mama Bear, and it says Cardi got the ring because she let the man run all over her and cheat.
She trying to come. Okay.
Well, somebody said the reason that Cardi B got the ring is because she let that man run over her cheek. And then somebody else said, what man wouldn't want a wife? What man wouldn't want a wife a dummy up cake and eating too? I don't understand that comment. And then I'm not going to read the ones that.
So tell her before she come for me, get her grammar together and syntax.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the ones that take shots.
Oh, I can see them.
Oh, that's right. You all can't see them. But I'm reading them for the audience.
I don't see anything.
Oh, you have to go to comments.
Yeah, I don't either.
If you look at, we have private chat and we have comments. So Mama Bear is pretty much telling me that I'm not a dime and that I need to stay in my lane. Right. People are
harsh.
They real cute behind the keyboard. What she look like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't like to do the attacks. But I mean, let's be honest. Men, because think about it. Women, you guys earn your value at birth, right? You're born beautiful, right? You're born beautiful, right? I'm talking with respect to what men want, right? You're born beautiful.
Did you say we're born?
Right? Yeah, women are born with beauty. Y'all didn't just y'all didn't make yourself beautiful. Y'all beautiful. You didn't go to a store and make yourself beautiful. You're beautiful, right? A man, in order to be valuable to a woman, has to earn his value. He has to go out and earn that value, create that value. Y'all disagree with that? Leah?
I'm sorry. I was so busy trying to share this on my screen.
Trying to do what?
I was trying to share it so people could watch it. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
So I said that women. Yeah, don't concentrate on the chat. Don't concentrate on the chat.
Oh, that has me worked up too, but we're not.
People get crazy.
What you say this got you worked up?
Yes, what is going on? Where's Mama Bear?
Right.
Yeah, there's some YouTube watchers that are commenting.
I won't say anything. Okay.
So the comment that I made was, women are born with their inherent quote unquote worth, right? Because men are attracted to beauty, right? And so men have to we have to earn our worth. If I were a handsome guy and broke, I'm not husband material, right? But if you're a beautiful woman, you can attract marriage-minded men, right? Do y'all agree or disagree with that? That women are born with their worth, men have to earn it.
I think it depends. I'm back on that. Depends what the man looks like. I'm still on that. And the reason why I said, remember, y'all ladies, remember that guy that was in jail, and he was on the internet. He had like those blue eyes or something.
I don't know who that is.
Fine.
Model contract and everything. And I do believe he was married, but the internet was going crazy. I mean, people were volunteering to take care of this man. So right. I tell you, if I'm just saying, it depends on what you.
Okay, so a felon is a good husband.
That's not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying to you is the way he looked going crazy. If you look him up, you will find it.
Right, I remember that story.
I think he was married too, but women were still ready.
I'm about to look it up later.
But
he was
like 2 or 3 of them.
Right, but most men aren't born that handsome. But most men. So, for example, take away Samuel L. Jackson. Right?
Wasn't he a crackhead before he got famous?
He was.
No, I don't know.
He was a crack addict. Yes.
Right, but you don't think that he's married, he's happily married, he's been happily married for a very long time. But you don't think that Samuel L. Jackson could attract with his money and resources and fame a lot of attractive women to marry? He wasn't born with that. Y'all don't believe that Samuel Jackson, if he were single, could attract attractive women to marry?
Was he still gonna have that money?
Huh? I'm saying, right, he created his value is what I'm saying. That's the argument.
He still has that. Hold on 1 second.
I don't know. I dated a man who looked like Samuel. So
was he broke?
Oh Lord.
But he wasn't. I didn't think he was ugly either.
But was he broke?
Mm-mm. At this age and stage, we don't do broke.
Right. I'm saying, in order to increase a man's value, he has to go out and create that value. He's not broke.
No, he wasn't born broke either. That's what I don't understand.
He was born broke. Most men, we don't have money. Our parents may have money. We don't have anything.
No, I'm telling you, he was not. Okay, well, they got generational wealth.
Right, but you get what I'm pointing. Most men aren't born into generational wealth. We're talking about the exception, not the rule. The handsome felon is the exception, not the rule. The guy born into generational wealth, especially as a black man, is definitely the exception, not the rule. Most black men aren't born into generational wealth. Most of us black people aren't born into generational wealth.
Talk about your circles, Penny, okay?
I'm not talking about my circle. Like, my circles are very wealthy. My circle is wealthy.
I will agree. Samuel Jackson, if he was not with his wife, could get anyone if he still had that money.
Yeah. He could. Chris Rock?
Chris Rock isn't actually, he's not a bad looking guy.
Right.
I think he's cute and he's funny.
Looks better.
But Chris Rock had to create himself. He had to create that value. That's my point. But I don't want to keep moving this. I don't want to keep moving in the circle, and we're getting up on the hour. I want to.
Oh no! I want you to ask Mama Bear, does she have a high value man?
Lord!
I'm not going to interact with the people in the chat. Ignore.
Are they still in there? I'm so lost.
Yeah, ignore the chat. People are going to say some crazy things in the chat. Whenever you're doing this, whenever you're on the show, you have to ignore the chat. So I want to get some closing remarks about modern women, because I think personally that the idea that I think one of the biggest problems that modern women have is that, one, they don't understand men. They don't understand the men that they want to date. And I think that strategy to try to attract those men is not a successful strategy. I don't think it is. Not to attract the kind and caliber of men you want, because what I hear is, this is what I want. And then when he says, well, I want this, he's told he's wrong, but he's the one that makes the choice to marriage. When women have access to sex, men have access, grant access to marriage. And so I think that's where the disconnect comes in. I believe that this idea that I'm going to create unrealistic standards, because I think some of those standards are unrealistic. And I think that the fact that a lot of modern women bring things to the table that may be beneficial, but they may not be what men want.
Mm-hmm.
Men still value some traditional things. I'm not saying men don't like women that are educated. I'm not, because men love women that are educated. I don't think men dislike women that earn well, because men marry women that earn well. I think it's that if you gather up on those things, load up on those things, and don't have enough of these other things, you're not going to be successful. So let me give you one example, then we'll close with closing thoughts. So for example, there's this idea that men want IG models, right? And I mean, IG models are attractive enough, to be quite honest, for sex. I don't think IG models are getting married like that. But look at Jill Scott, right? Look at Jill Scott. Jill Scott would not have the body of what one would consider to be IG modelish, right? But Jill Scott, and most men will tell you this, most black men will tell you this, Jill Scott is hella sexy, because Jill Scott has this feminine energy that is just, there's something about her. I don't know if she's acting, but from what we've seen and what we've observed, Jill Scott is sexy as hell. I would marry Jill Scott tomorrow. And she doesn't have a Coke bottle figure, because Jill Scott is the character that she played in Why Did I Get Married? 1 and 2, and there's another character she played. Whoo! I was pissed at old boy for throwing her away. I'm like, you a fool. But that's what most men want. Femininity is our kryptonite. You said what?
That he was just awful though, right?
Well, he was an awful guy. He was an awful guy. But you get the sentiment. That's what men are attracted to. It's not necessarily those other things. It's that femininity. Men are attracted to femininity. That's what men are attracted to. But let's get the closing thoughts so we can wrap this thing up, because we're kind of going a little bit over. So, Kashima, I'm going to let you get started. What are your closing thoughts on the conversation? What do you think? Actually, no, let's close this way. Do you agree or disagree that the modern woman approach works? Or do you disagree that it works?
I say I kind of disagree. That works. I mean, like I said before, I gotta say this. Honestly, just you attract who you're gonna attract at the end of the day. If a man wants a modern woman, they can get it. If they want a traditional one, they can get it. Honestly, it's just at the end of the day, you attract who you want, I guess.
All right, Leah.
I don't think the modern woman works. And sorry. Most men, I don't think, care about education. I think they care more so about a woman that's articulate, can speak well. But I don't really think that men are really pressed about if you have a master's degree, a bachelor's, or whatever. I just think they want somebody that's able to articulate and well, and not out there like, yo, baby, what's up? How you doing? Unless it's maybe behind closed doors, but not out at a work function or something like that. I think they want somebody that kind of presents themselves well, knows how to dress for the occasion, and articulate.
And educated women, ironically enough, tend to have more of those qualities.
Oh, no, I can't hear you.
Feminine qualities. Can you hear me?
I don't know what happened. I can't hear anything now. I can't hear anything.
Have more of those qualities. Leah's lost her sound. Leah, you lost your sound. We're going to go to you, Doc.
I think it depends on how it's packaged, because Jill Scott is hella modern. She just packages it very well. That's all I'll say. Right?
She does package it very well.
I think it's how it's packaged. And I think men like the package, right? Like it's like being a kid at Christmas. You see the wrapping and you think the wrapping is just beautiful, and that's what they go for. And sometimes they get stuck on the wrapping and not what's inside, and if they can actually take care of it. So I don't know. I just think it's all in how it's packaged.
I like that.
Fair enough. Well, this has been a good conversation. We could probably do a part 2 on this particular conversation. Listen, ladies, I've enjoyed y'all. I thank y'all for tuning in to Black Space Live. I will see y'all on Thursday as we continue with the conversation that I've started called The Practical Christian right here Thursday. And as usual, I'll be back on my regular time on Tuesday nights as we continue to discuss Black topics from a Black perspective here on Black Space Live. I thank y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. You got to do 3 things for me. It costs you nothing. $3.99. That's Black people's favorite price. Price is free. It's don't cost you nothing. Share. So I'm your host, Lamar Finley, saying I will see y'all on the flip side. If y'all see me flying, wave high because I'm fly. Yeah, I just made it up at the top of the dome, y'all. Thank y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Good night.
Why